Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It's the Audrey Wiggins Show.
One of the most fundamental parts of doing business on the web is keeping your customers' information safe. Fear of hacking and other security breaches still makes a lot of people jittery about disclosing their credit card numbers and other private information online, like their home address and telephone number. And if they suspect that it could be compromised when they make a transaction on your site, they're going to take their business elsewhere. That's why you need an SSL certificate for your website.
Grow your business with Altogether Marketing with the power of branding. Your logo, your slogan, your colors, even your website. How about customer service, the product experience, company values, and you? Make a touchdown today with your branding through Altogether Marketing. Visit altogether.biz. Welcome again to the Audrey Wiggins Show panel discussion on You Have a Solution, where Twon Billings is asking Yvonka Hall about black men and suicide. Following that discussion, there's plenty more, so grab a seat and your favorite beverage.
So, Yvonka, is it anything that you have thought of, or even, for black men that could potentially, snap like that and end up, taking their life? Because, a lot of black men is, one or two, contemplating it, thought about it, or did it.
Well, I think that the other thing is that, different from black women is black men are the most hunted animals on earth. And, for African-American women, like, it can go either way. Like, I'm not hunted every day. Like, black men have to be on guard. Like, I don't have to be on guard 24/7. When you see black boys walking down the street and you're driving down the street and they constantly are looking back, where they constantly have to watch their back, and then they have to watch their front, and then they have to watch their side, So if you are in a state of crisis every day, what goes on internally, with your body, what goes on with your organs, what goes on with your heart, what goes on with your mind. And so, the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition does have programs for men, but now we are in the age of COVID. So, we in January and February, we always do a talk with my brother, Spiritual Healing for African-American Men. And we have hundreds of men that come out to the talk. And so they come out to the talk, and it's their chance. It'll have nothing to do with the women. It's their chance to talk. So the women have their own conversations in our room, and the men have their own thing. And this whole African-centered, we do the whole libation ceremony and all of those things. But it's for the men. And then in June, we normally do aches, pains, and automobiles. It's a men's health tune-up, but it's actually a mental health tune-up. But because of COVID, we couldn't do it. It would have taken place last week. We would have had it at Carolina's Health Center. All the health screenings are free. I work with a whole group of African-American professionals that are mental health professionals that specialize with African-American men. They're all black. Like, for me, it's important for my organization to make sure that all of our talent, all of the people who are our experts, the experts that we're showing on are black folks, because those are the people who are being disproportionately impacted. And so we work with the Black Professional Christian Therapy Network. So take the word Christian out. They're black professionals who understand black folks, because they've lived in the neighborhood, they have the experience. And at the conference, every year when we do the conference, we have workshops that focus on black men. But I think that, we have to look at it in a different way, because COVID is real. COVID isn't going anywhere. And so because of that, we have to figure out a way to be able to engage people that's 6 feet apart, where they're wearing masks, and where people are able to wash their hands. And so for our community, who is totally not being responsible about wearing a mask, staying 6 feet apart, and I think that part of it is because culturally, we've always had to be this close together. And so now, you know, this virus is saying you can't be that close together. You need to be this far apart. And we're like, no, I don't do far apart. Like when I talk, I need you to be right here. I need you to be right in my face. And so I think it's relearning some of the other things, but I think it's figuring out a way where we can use social media to our advantage to try to get these many messages out, because people, I mean, I see people on social media, regardless of whether they're homeless, regardless of what their status is, a lot of young men are, but it's also around making a message that's for them, that they understand, that is for them, about them, and by them. So I think that it's not so much of me creating the message, but it's them creating the message of saying, look, so Twon, I don't know if you ever look at my Facebook page, but last month we did this whole month-long piece on no menthol. So we did a no menthol campaign, and we asked people to upload 30-second videos, and we took those videos, we put it in a montage, and then some of those videos actually went national. Like they were all over the place. And so it was an opportunity to talk about no smoking. So is that doing these 30-second pieces, is that a way for young people to get out the things that they're so angered about? If you give them 30, you say, look, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds, say what you gotta say. Mm-hmm. You know, how much dialogue would you get from young people that are like blowing up? Because in 30 seconds, you can say a lot. Yeah. And so I think that we have to change the way that we think about engagement, because COVID-19 says that, you know, we need to wear masks, we need to be 6 feet apart. And that we have so many young people who are being raised by their grandparents or that are living with their grandparents. And that if something happens to grandma, what's going to happen to them? And so for me, you can best believe that that's one of the things I cry about every single night, knowing that these young people, I see these young people hanging out, and I'm like, okay, so if you live with your grandmother and your grandmother has heart disease, or your grandmother has diabetes, or your grandmother has hypertension, and you are asymptomatic, and you take this virus back to your grandmother is going to die. And what's going to happen to you? Mm-hmm. We're going to have so many young people that are homeless because the people who are the breadwinners of their homes, their moms, their fathers, who have comorbidities, are going to die. Like for me, it's we have to engage people in a way where we tell them, look, this is about life or death, y'all, for real.
Right. This is not about, you know, somebody controlling you and telling you what to do. It's not about that. Yes. Yeah.
Do you think that, like with, you know, Jerome, you know, I would hope that you chime in on this piece too. Do you think that young Black males, you know, with, you know, one of my friends that is a police officer, his son just committed suicide. Do you think, you know, and Jerome, I don't know if you're married or not, yes, but one of the things that I have learned recently is that, and I've been paying attention to, when a Black man have a good woman by his side, his whole world changed. It's like she balanced him. You know, would you guys say that that's for men? And then do you feel like the young Black male have a lot of pressure up on them too in order to cause them to snap like that, to kill themselves?
I think that's a personal situation for each individual Black young man who's having their own personal individual problems. I don't know enough on what the problems are. I do know there's a lot of issues going on with that. I think a lot has to do with upbringing, what's going on in the community, and also don't have enough someone to talk to and someone to reach out to them to help them to, you know, take care of their frustrated situation they're in. With that being said, there are a lot of Black men out there too who are causing just as much, you know, havoc and problems and issues, you know, on the streets as well, as you probably know as well. And that seems to be the most of the problems, where there are too many Black men out there on the streets up to no good, and they need to find some type of relief or find some type of, you know, something to do to keep themselves occupied in a very, you know, very educated way. And I think that will lead to ultimate, you know, probably either in jail, or in the grave, or scatterbrain, because you just got too much time on your hands, getting in too much trouble, hanging out with the wrong people, hanging out with the wrong crowd, doing everything that's not supposed to be done by the law. And this is where you're going to end up, one of those 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 items. And you probably know more about that, Twon, because you probably work in that environment with people, young men all the time. I'm just going back for what I see on my side. I'm 58 years old, so I've seen this since beginning, since I was in high school. Young men are getting themselves in trouble, and a lot of the kids I grew up with, I hear from time to time they died, or they got involved in the wrong people, or they're in jail, whatever the case may be. Very few. I went to Heights High. So, and when I went to Heights High, everybody had big dreams. Now, I see these guys today when I'm walking down the street or in the mall, store, shop. Whatever happened to Bob? What happened to Reggie? What happened to Tommy? Oh, yeah, he's in jail. He's been in prison for 3 or 4 years, man. Oh, yeah, he's been in prison since the early 80s. He's not getting out. He killed somebody. I'm like, what happened? I mean, everybody was on the same path, very educated, very, nice family and everything. What possibly happened to this young man? Why he's been in prison now for 20 years because he killed somebody? So I think like you were saying, Twon, everybody has their own personal reason why they commit suicide. And until we find out what's the main reason, which I don't know what the main reason is, but until we find out what the main reason is, you're going to have a lot more, deaths on their hands, because there's just too much going on the streets right now. Way too much going on the streets to have these kids, walk the streets at night. And I see kids who walk the streets that, way under their age. I don't know how old they are, but I know they're not in their 20s, 17, 18, 19, walking the streets 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I'm trying to get home, and they're out in the streets, wandering about. And I'm like, where are their parents? Why are these 14, 15, 16, 18-year-old kids walking the streets late at night? Here it's 11 o'clock at night, and these kids are walking the streets looking for trouble. Not all of them, but something's going to happen eventually.
Right. And let me interject in here, since we're talking about suicide. You never know what a person's mind is. I want to give the national hotline, for suicide prevention, and that's 1-800-273-8255, 800-273-8255. And if you know someone and they're having that conversation, just don't brush it off. Talk to them, try to get them, get that person, some help. And because that's real. Because sometimes life can just get, can get so bad, just like you do want to just get end it all. I mean, and sometimes, the person you're talking to may not think it's all that serious. But if you're going through it, it's serious. And, especially as a young person, I can remember, being young, and you have one problem to solve, okay? Because, you're growing up and you solve that one. And then, then a time later, there's another problem to solve. And the older you get, your problems become compounded. So now you have 2 or 3 things you're trying to juggle and work out. And, if you look at all of us today, of being of age, we all have our individual things we were already dealing with, okay? And then we had COVID-19 to compound that. Then we, another murder. And then the constant images, I've had a few meltdowns over here, I'm telling you, in this apartment. And, and the last one I had, it was like, I just couldn't take one more disappointment or more negative thing. And it was just really trivial. It was stupid. I just couldn't get my frickin' potato chips. The machine ate my money. Was that important? No. That wasn't important at all in the whole scheme of things. But when things just keep building and building and building, you never know what makes a person like really, really snaps. That wasn't like a real meltdown, but what takes you, over the bridge, over that limit.
And also in the time of crisis, people turn to alcohol and drugs. And
right.
so they're already in a crisis. They may be in a mental health crisis. They may be in a physical crisis. They may be homeless. I mean, we have, when you talk about young people outside at night, if you actually go downtown around midnight, because I've been out there, I actually had a program that I did a couple years ago that was called Midnight Meals with a Message. So I went out in the 4th District at midnight, me and a bunch of other women, and carried lunches out to young people, because I know that food insecurity and violence go hand in hand. So I know if I can feed you, I can keep you from killing somebody. And so we took sandwiches. We had sandwiches, cookies, water, fruit, a street card out at midnight. And so we did like 400 lunches in the 4 weeks that we were out. And we would literally give out food to young people. Like it was just young people, just wandering the neighborhoods. Because what happens is when you are homeless, when you are marginalized in society, you don't come out in the daytime. In the daytime, because you don't want other people to see. You don't want people from Heights High to see that you've had these problems and now you're homeless. So you don't want people to see you. So what happens is at nighttime, it's a whole different day in our neighborhoods. So when you go out at midnight in our neighborhoods, midnight is their day. And so you see all these people wandering around and you're like, where are all these people coming from? And it's people who they are unkept or may not be able to get their hair done, you know, for men who aren't able to get their hair cut, or they may be smelly. Like in the daytime, they're being judged, but in the nighttime, in the dark, nobody notices. And so what happens is in the daytime, most people who are out wandering at night, they're finding somewhere to sleep. That's their safest time for them to go get a nap in, go to sleep until they can get up for the night. And so we have to be mindful that we have so many in our community. We have mental health issues that are going on. We have people who are marginalized and homeless. We have people who are like in the age of COVID, which they're supposed to have had a moratorium on kicking people out of their apartments. Well, last week they evicted 500 people last Friday.
In Cleveland, Greater Cleveland?
Yeah, in Cleveland. And so now they're like, oh, we can do 150 a day, 150 additional a day. And they're saying because they normally do 150 a day. And I'm like, they do 150 evictions a day in Cleveland. So, you know, for me, I raise my voice to all of the things that I see that are disproportionately impacting our community. And I know that for Twon, I know that for our young men, I hurt for them because as a mother and a grandmother, I'm a grandma, you know, knowing that, you know, all of a sudden, when you were a kid, you thought that you were going to be a fireman. You thought you were going to be a policeman. You thought you had all of these dreams about your life. And now all of a sudden, you in jail. You locked behind bars. And now when you get home, you still in jail because the jail that you were in has now become the jail that's you. Because now it's like, oh, well, you need to report to the probation officer. But now you need money to report to them because now they're asking for you to pay for something. So if you have no money, how are you paying them? So now you know the likelihood of you going back is high. Okay, so what do I need to do in order for me to get some money? Okay, well, I need to hustle. And so it's a whole different thing. So you got these kids that are juggling all these things that are going on in their life because nobody prepared them for tomorrow. And so for us, it's trying to get them the services that they need, trying to get them the help that they need. You know, for me, the food thing is a big thing because I know that if I feed you, I can change your heart. I can change your mind. I can make you look at things in a different way. When I worked at the health department, I remember one day I bought pizza for the staff and we had all these pizzas left. And I was walking out the building and I had these pizzas in my hand and these young boys were walking to the homeless shelter. They were walking back to 2100. Okay. And I said, hey, would y'all like some pizza? And they were like, yeah. I gave them a pizza and the young man said something that will stay with me for the rest of my life. He said, I have not had pizza in so long. Wow. And I'm like, pizza? Like pizza? Like my son get pizza every time he want pizza. He wastes pizza. I'm like, are you going to eat this pizza or are we going to throw it away?
Right,
and
right.
To know that there's another young man who doesn't have pizza. I'm like, okay, look, how can we get young people some food? How can we get them the things they need? That's why I'm willing to go. That's why I was willing to go to Cleveland City Hall and testify when Cleveland talked about giving all these millions and millions of dollars to the Q deal. Like I was sitting in City Hall testifying and the city of Cleveland called the police. Like they were ready to arrest me. They said, okay, look, they said, who's going to testify? I said, myself and Kyle. They said, no. They said, okay, well, who's going to? And when I told them that, I looked up and I heard one of the council people say, did you send the police in here for Miss Hall? Did you send the police in here for Miss Hall? for Ms. Hall, Citizen Hall, that's sitting here at a testimony table testifying as to why the city of Cleveland needs to put more than $100,000 into summer jobs.
Oh,
I'm like,
my God.
if you are not willing to employ the kids in your city, but you're
don't
willing
deserve
to
your city. Move out.
that's a problem. If you're not willing to make sure that every young child, teenager in your city has a job for the summer, that is a problem, especially when you're willing to give a billionaire hundreds of millions of dollars that those people's family members have paid into with taxes. And so sitting at that table, I said, look, y'all only want to put this amount into summer jobs. And then I told them how much it equates to. This equates to, and I think it was 100 jobs. Like, this is 100 jobs. It was 500,000. I said, this equates to 100 jobs. I said, so if this is only 100 jobs, who's getting those jobs?
Mm-hmm.
Your kids. So you're employing your kids.
That's
so
right.
The kids who are most at risk will never get an opportunity. And so what I'm just saying to you, Twon, is, you know, if we can do something about the food, because, you know, for me, like I said, that's a big thing. If I can give them a message with that food, because when I would go out and do midnight meals with a message, you know, my message was letting people know that they loved them. You know, my message was, look, I love you and I want y'all to be safe, because I can't stop people from being outside. I can't stop them from being homeless. What I can do is I can offer you a meal. I can offer you some inspiration. I can give you what you need right now, and I can help you get to tomorrow. So I would give them a streetcar too, like, hey, these are some services that are available to you. You know, call this number and then we can get these services out to you. And, you know, for me, that's important. And, you know, and I'm just one woman, you know, so if I'm one woman and I can feed, like I said, on Sunday, it'll be, I've sent 25,000 meals from my house in these last 13 weeks. 25,000 meals have left my house of residence that I live. And we got council people who have not put in $5, $10, trying to block people off on the street from coming in my driveway to get the food. You know, like we need to say, you know, where are our priorities? You know,
that is a crime. That's the crime.
You know, our priorities with the people is our priorities with the business, with the establishment. And so for me, my priorities lie in the people, because when I leave here, I have to answer to one person, and that's God. Mm-hmm. And the first thing he's going to say is, what did you do to change the lives of other people? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to let my record speak for me.
Well, don't you feel like, you know, sometimes, you know, and Audrey and, you know, maybe Jerome, do you guys feel like you guys is overwhelmed with all that you provide to society, and then people take advantage of you, you know what I'm saying, which, you know, kind of roadblock you from doing God's, you know, work? Audrey, we talked about this yesterday, you know, about how people jump in front of you and do anything that they can to, you know, it really hurts, you know, really just having this discussion, you know, it's like, you know, like you said, you out here trying your best to do as much as you can, but like you said, you being only one person, I can imagine that can be overwhelming, because I know how overwhelming it is for me to do some of the things, not nowhere near when you're talking about feeding people, where that budget come from. You know, it's like pulling teeth to get people to even want to give to the disenfranchised. And, you know, it's hurting when people look at you crazy, like, why is you doing this? You know, and you out here, you know, pushing, Audrey, you know, that you busting your butt to try and help people, but you can't live on love out here.
Right.
You know, you in order for you to be able to help, you know, a person, you got to be able to handle your business too, Yvonka. You know, and, you know, palms got to be greased. You know what I'm saying, Jerome? It got to be greased. You cannot just go out here and just give, and you don't have much to give, and nobody ain't kicking in to help. And these people have resources. They misappropriating the money, like what she was talking about earlier about the education. You know, it's like you got all these buildings
Mm-hmm.
that they just letting fall apart. And you can put so many people in that and train them into jobs and, you know, take these people and clear off the people that got felonies from 20 and 30 years and free the slaves and let them be able to take care of this. A lot of the men can do whatever. It's the felony, the cloud, the past that stays over their head that stops them from being able to move forward. So, you know, my question is to, you know, you guys is like, do it feel overwhelming to a point where you just, Audrey, I heard you say you break down, but Jerome and Yvonka, do y'all like go home and sometimes break down and everything because of what people do to try and hurt you and put out bad papers on you and do things to say, you know, I mean, do that hurts?
Well, you know, people are just going to be people, and that's one of the things that I've learned over the years at an early age too. People are just going to be people. They're going to hate what you're doing. They're going to resist what you're doing. I've talked to people when I work on my projects, and Audrey may be a witness to this too, because she works on a lot of projects. You're going to find people who just don't want to see you do good, who don't want to work with you, don't want to, but they're going to try to keep you down any way they possibly can. Why people even think this way, I have no idea. But going by what you just said, Twon, I mean, you're going to find people out there, all kinds of walks of life. Those who are with you, against you, and those who are going to be for you. And those who are against you and don't want to be with you, those are the ones I've been very lucky and fortunately to keep away from. I can meet people, you know, the next day, and we'll talk about what I'm working on, what they're working on, and we'll get together and we work together on a particular project, whatever the case may be. There's always that one guy who wants to say, "Oh, this ain't gonna work. You can't do this. You can't do that."
Yeah. So you're fighting against that negativity.
Yeah.
You know, it's just.
And I work with many people of this nature before. Oh, forget that. You know, those folks, they're not going to work with you. You know, oh, forget that. Don't go there, or don't sign up for that program. Or you're not going to get that grant. But you know what? I just turn a deaf ear to some of these people, and I just keep on going forward. And when I met Audrey, you know, a couple of years back, she told me the things she was working on. I met so many people in that same boat who got shot down and blown out of the water and everything. And I'm happy to see Audrey is doing quite well for herself with her project and her shows and so forth. And I wish some of the ladies I met over the years would just hung in there and stuck with it. But like going by what you're saying, you know, Twon and Yvonka, you're just going to have to ignore people who don't want to be with you, work with you. And it's not a black or white thing. It's just people all together, just people within general. And those are the ones you definitely don't want to be bothered with. And I've been very lucky and fortunately not to be bothered. Because I meet people all the time. I see people and meet them all the time. And we're all smart, intelligent people here. You can tell who's going to be with you, who wants to work with you, and who's going to listen to what you have to say. You may not be right all the time, you know, but there's nothing wrong with saying you're wrong. That don't make no sense. I've been told that many times over the years, but I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do and stick to my guns and make it work, you know, and everything. So just keep away from the negative people. And I think the world will be a lot better place for those who are moving forward. Those negative people will always be behind you and looking forward, seeing what you're doing, what you're working on.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I think the other thing I say is that, you know, as a follower of Christ, for me, or whether you follow Muhammad or, you know, whoever is your spiritual guidance, you know that people talked about Jesus, you know,
yes.
You know, and so if his journey was a rough journey, then I could not think that I could be a follower and my journey could be easy. And so I that's how I go to bed. I'm like, look, if today it was supposed to be hard because it just shows I'm doing it. And so when I, like, even with the food program, it was, I didn't have any money. Like, so let's get this together. So on March the 8th, when this started, all of my income stopped because I was scheduled to speak in Atlanta, North Carolina. I was scheduled to be in Italy. I was supposed to be doing another project in Africa. So all of my income ended, effective immediately.
Yeah.
And so when I knew that babies weren't going to be able to eat, I was like, okay, God, what we gonna do about these babies? And he said, you're gonna feed them. And I'm like, no, I can't do that because all I got is a credit card. And he said, yeah, you got a credit card and you have excellent credit. So what I need you to do is go take your credit card and go buy food. And I'm like, no, you want somebody else to use that credit card. And I went and spent it for the first, it cost $2,500 a week to do this program, right? So I spent $2,500 every week on food with no funding.
Wow.
So the first week I spent on my credit card, the first week. And next thing I know, food just started appearing in my driveway. People started pulling up in the yard and I'm like sitting here looking out the window and cars are driving in, leaving stuff on my table. People started sending me cash apps. Here, I'm supporting what you're doing. People ask for my PayPal. Like, can I get your PayPal? Because I want to support. Some guy called me from Jersey I've never heard of before in my life. He called me last week and he said, Yvonka, you don't know me, but my organization was looking for an organization we wanted to give to. And yeah, they agreed to, they're going to give you $6,000. I said, huh? And he said, I said, how did you find out about me? He said, I Googled you. He said, I Googled Black health and you popped up.
Wow.
When you Google Black health, the only thing that pop up is me. Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition, no matter where you at in the country, when you pop in Black or Black health or health, I pop up. And so he said, I looked at your website, I saw what you do, I saw some videos with you talking, and I'm like, we donating to her. And then somebody else called me and said, hey, I'm with the Browns. I'm going to send out an email to all our Browns backers and ask them to give money to your organization. So I know that if I do what I'm supposed to do, regardless of what, because I have fights with God about the stuff I'm supposed to do, but if I just follow and do what I'm supposed to do, he's going to get me that next step to where I am. So the city of Cleveland has given me no dollars. They haven't given me not a lunch. They haven't given me a juice. They haven't given me anything. But then last week, some lady appears and says, oh yeah, we want to donate bags. And I said, oh, well, my food won't never go into a city of Cleveland bag because you will never look like you're donating money to a program that you have given absolutely nothing to. So you can keep those bags. You can take them back to wherever you are because the bags don't feed kids. Food does.
Right.
So, and so for me, it's important that, you know, I continue to do what I do. I mean, there have been times when I have cried because, you know, for those who don't know, I'm battling cancer. And so I am battling cancer and the fact that I am slowly losing my ability to walk. I have a debilitating spinal condition that is robbing me of my ability to walk. And so for me, losing my voice because of the cancer. And so for me, I'm going to use my voice for as long as I can. I'm going to walk. I'm going to do whatever I can do for as long as I can to help change the conditions of my community because I have 2 grandbabies, one and one that's 3. And I want them to know one day when I'm not here is that my grandmother worked to change the world. Like she worked to change the world for Black folks, not just to change the world, but to make the conditions when we talk about education, employment, housing, and health, that she helped to make all of those systems right in the world that was turned all upside down and inside out. And so whatever I can do to upset the equilibrium and the balance of what people have determined to be okay, I'm gonna let you know that it's not okay. It's not okay for Black people not to care about other Black people. It's not okay for our elected officials to do nothing, to not speak up, stand up, or show up for Black folks when Black folks are the reason that they have their positions. It's not okay for our young Black men to feel like targets every single day as soon as they get up. It's not okay for our judicial system to continue to make you a victim even after you've served your time. It is not okay. None of that is okay. And mentally, when we talk about reparations, we need to get reparations from the rooter to the tutor. So that means that if there is reparations around mental health, every Black person in the United States needs to be afforded a mental health as part of reparations. Like we have been, like all of us should be walking around with some type of mental illness just from the trauma that our ancestors faced. And so my last thing that I'm gonna tell you is that list. This is what I do know about Yvonka Hall. I am the great granddaughter of a carpenter who was kidnapped from the Cameroon region of Africa, brought to the United States, settled in the Southern Carolinas, who had a daughter. His name became Newland because this is a new land to him, and they took his name from him. Her name became Sarah Newland. She had a daughter named Sarah Harriet, who had a daughter named Amanda, who married John, and John had a son named George, who married Frances. And Frances and George had a son named Jerry, who got married to a woman named Orstine. Orstine and Jerry had 5 children. One of them was Yvonne. Yvonne got married to David, and David and Yvonne made Yvonka. And you know what? Guess what? Can't nobody tell me that after all of these years, since 1783, of my family being here working for this land, that the United States of America don't owe Black folks nothing. Exactly. They owe us everything.
Yeah, I can't go back that far. I can go back to my grandmother. That's about it.
You know, and that's a whole nother subject, you know, for me, of a pet peeve of like not knowing, you know, my true roots. You know, I think that is so important.
And I didn't get that from Ancestry. I got it from sitting down as a child, listening to the stories.
Okay. That's, yes. Yeah.
So I'm from North Carolina, so I'm sure I got some serious, you know, heritage going way back then. So I'm originally from North Carolina, so I know there's somebody who got some amazing stories to tell.
Yeah. My older sister, you know, started doing, you know, Ancestry, and, you know, she's gotten, you know, quite a ways back, but we really need to, you know, I want to go all the way back. I want to go over, you know, trace us back to the motherland, wherever we, you know, had come from. And because my mom was from Alabama, Selma, and my father was in a small town called Keysville out of Augusta, Georgia. So we've got,
We're from the Carolinas and Virginias. So I never saw cotton until about 5-10 years ago. Like I didn't even know what the cotton field looked like because we did tobacco.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
Tobacco folks. And so most people think that all Black people have seen cotton, but a lot of Black people don't know what cotton looks like because that's not where their families were. But my grandfather, my great who came here in 1783, he was kidnapped. You know, and you know, like a lot of us always want to say, you know, we came from kings and queens. No, I came from a carpenter, and they kidnapped him because he was a carpenter.
Right,
so
exactly.
They went to Africa. They didn't get the unskilled folks. So look, so Twon, if anybody want to tell you, you came from people who was nothing, because a lot of times we like, oh, everybody can't come from kings and queens. But we came from carpenters. We came from people who were carpenters and knew how to cook. And so what happened was they needed those folks in order for them to build the infrastructure. Like kings didn't build nothing, but the carpenters did. So they needed those carpenters to come here with those skills in order for them to build America. Exactly. And so for our young people, we need to let our young people know that they come from people who knew how to build stuff from nothing. Because if you actually give these kids a skill and show them how to do some stuff, they can do some stuff that you've never seen before.
That's right. Yes. I mean, my niece, she came out of somewhere. I'm like, all of a sudden she was creating, you know, body butters and cleansers and soaps. And I'm like, well, who in the family did that? You know, and we were just so proud of her, you know, supporting her and stuff. Because you never know what's locked up inside of us. Because we're very innovative and creative. You know, what is the mother of, you know, necessity? Oh my goodness. You know, yeah. So we need to be, you know, we should be, you know, proud of who we are, but, you know, all of that's been ripped from us, you know, and part of that crab and, you know, the barrel mentality, you know, comes from slavery. But we've got to, you know, start focusing on, you know, that good part and that positive part of, you know, and come together, you know, like you're saying, and, you know, and prop up one another. If somebody is feeling like they want to, you know, commit suicide, you know, let's help that brother, you know, or that sister. And I want to give that number again, 800-273-8255, 800-273-8255.
I also just want to say, you know, again, you know, Yvonka, you know, that was a, you know, hell of a testimony, you know what I'm saying? you know, to be able to be, you know, doing all the things that you have done, you know, where you have people that's in good health that ain't doing what they need to be doing out here as Black men and Black women. Because like I said, I really don't look at the other race, you know, I just look at our responsibility because we know better. You know what I'm saying? You know, we talked about education, but over 400 some odd years of being oppressed, I don't know if there's anybody, Jerome, that, you know, we can really say that, Audrey, that don't know what's going on out here. Mm-hmm. We have to be responsible men and responsible women. Yvonka just gave a testimony, mm-hmm. you know, of how she going through her personal issues, mm-hmm. but still find a way to help thousands of people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I'm upset at our people that if you can give me that type of testimony, and here we got able-bodied men and women that got the resources. Mm-hmm. I like my club. You know, I was involved with the Zulu, right? Mm-hmm. Even with my club, I talk to them all the time. In fact, they just left from over at my house. I told them I had to do this, right? We're the largest Black motorcycle club, which means that the Omens is our brotherhood. Mm-hmm. With so many Black men and women that's involved in the bike life, can you imagine if we had those thousands of Yvonka Halls doing God's will like that, and how effective our communities would be if we as Black men and Black women step up and did what we supposed to do? We do not need a handout. We can go out here and do the same type of God's will because we always found a way. Look at where did the drums come from, Jerome? Where did the street lights come from? We always found a way. You know what I'm saying? We always found a way to entertain. We always find a way. That's the reason why we're unique. And that's the reason why they want to keep us oppressed, because they know we will find a way. Look at Harriet Tubman. We always find a way. And therefore, that's why I say, you know, again, Yvonka, hearing that, that's a motivation to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm going to show y'all something, you know, in my house, excuse me for it being dark. You know, I don't know if y'all can see this or not. You see what's on my wall? The Proclamation of Emancipation. Can y'all see that?
I can make out something there, yeah.
That's the young 14-year-old that got executed.
That's Stuckey.
Yeah. A Black woman hanging. Emmett Till. And your brother hanging.
Oh, wow.
You know, I keep posters like that up on my wall, you know, of history.
Now, is that for a reminder of?
This is a reminder because of the stuff that I was involved with shooting people, gang banging, and this is what my life have turned into. Loving and respecting Black women all through my house.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you know, these things here, this is Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover from in the jail cell took the Gangster Disciples and turned their name from Gangster Disciples to Growth and Development and voted many people out of office from inside of the penitentiary.
Wow.
Tookie Williams, co-founder of the Crips, wrote a program that mediated the disputes while he was in prison. They buried Larry up under the penitentiary after he did that from inside the walls. This is Tupac's aunt, that's over there in Cuba, who they still trying to get extradited back to the United States. Y'all know who this young girl is before Rosa Parks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rosa. As Black men, this is what I love about being a Black man. This is what it should be about. A Black man having the strength to be able to hold the world away from his wife and his children. A real man, a protector. And right here, one of my favorite, relax, God is in control. And so you look around my home, and it's all about, I don't know if y'all can see up in here, you see the praising the Black women,
Mm-hmm.
the statues and everything. And my favorite wall right here.
The thinkers.
Malcolm X.
Yeah.
And here, this one probably gonna really make y'all laugh.
Uh-oh.
Look at what my house look like. Plantation house.
Where is that at?
That's
Is that in Cleveland?
Yeah.
East Cleveland.
Yeah, that's in East Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
That house had to be built in the 1800s. I mean, when was
I didn't
that
know
house?
we had any plantation homes in Cleveland, to be honest.
Oh yeah, we got some plantation homes.
Well,
Yeah,
not this far close.
we got a lot of them, that's out here. But the point of what I'm saying is that as a person that went from gang banging, with the Crip gang and everything like that, coming from Los Angeles and bringing that cancer here,
Mm-hmm.
I had to be woken up, and I thank God that God gave me another opportunity because I was on a life sentence for a crime I didn't even see,
Wow.
and I just personally, Yvonka, you remember what I went through in 19, with my ex, and that was horrific for me, but it was a reality check to let me know, despite of any and everything that I have done in the world to help law enforcement, to help men. I got a big program in the prison system called Responsibility as a Man that graduated thousands, and everywhere that program is at, every prison, it helps the community, meaning that they have, Yvonka gave thousands of dollars to white organization, and guess what? I'm the author of that program and don't get one red cent. But the program have donated to white organizations that don't have nothing to do with rehabilitation and helping the people that's incarcerated that's going through my system. Okay? So, but I looked at it that God gave it to me. I gave it to the men that's locked up. I came out. I took my talent of martial arts. We had a sergeant here in East Cleveland that played it with me to train women in martial arts and my bodyguard experience. And that's exactly when I started Violence Against Women Coalition. I want to be, Jerome, a Black man that's married. That's what I want. I want to be married. I don't want to be out here in the streets. I would like to have a wife to balance me. You see what I'm saying? To compliment me. That's what I want. When I see Black men in a relationship, the ones that I know that got the good woman and everything, I notice the whole total different demeanor. Even with some of my friends that's females that have a good man.
Mm-hmm.
It changes them. It balances them. It's like they a Super Bowl caliber team. You understand what I'm saying, Audrey?
Yeah.
They win together. They balance each other out.
Mm-hmm.
They help each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's important for me, to have a queen. You want to say king and queen. You want to live as a king and queen. I'm in this big mini mansion by myself. No kids, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do any of that. Do I have a temper? Yes, Twon, I do have a temper. That's my biggest flaw. I do have a temper. Many people that know me know that, what type of guy I can be. I just don't play.
Mhm.
And that is a thing about me. But other than that, I'm a humble, I'm a nice, I'm a respectable, and I'm a stay like that.
Mhm.
But I believe, like I said, as a man, I have a responsibility. And every day, Jerome, that I wake up and I look at those pictures, I do not carry my firearm outside of this house. But I'm not going to let the system tell me that, well, you cannot protect yourself. Hell to the no. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried out by 6. I'm not a damn fool.
Right.
Their law, Yvonka, back in the day said that you could not sit on the front of the bus. That was a law, Audrey.
Mhm.
They said that we could not have a certain job. That was a law. We couldn't drink at a certain water fountain.
Yeah.
Couldn't use certain bathrooms because that was a law. How unethical is the laws today that you cannot have a job, that you cannot protect you and your family? What black man out here, a real black man, Jerome, that's going to sit by and let something happen to his family?
Not many.
That's what I'm saying. So you got the difference between a man and a male out here and a female. And I tell people all the time, just because he wear boxers don't make him a man.
Mhm.
And just to add to your thing, so you'll know, Twon and Jerome, is that men who are married actually live longer. So,
Man.
Oh, really?
I'm
Twon, close your ears. Close your ears, Twon.
Hey, I'm about to put a Craigslist ad out.
Oh, heck no.
Put a Craigslist, Instagram, Jerome, I need a video, baby. I need a video. Be like, come and get me, baby. I need to do something, Yvonka. Hey, I need to come and get tested, say I'm HIV negative, corona negative, what I need to do.
You know what? I didn't know this was going to end up being a matchmaking show.
Hey, we got Yvonka. Yvonka got all them beautiful women working around her. Hey, I need me a Christian woman.
Okay, amen.
There you go. You all set.
That's
I need somebody to lay hands on me. Sometime I need a woman to lay a hand upside my head too. You know what I'm saying?
A loving hand.
Yeah. Not the Ike Turner hands, Jerome. We don't want the alpha female now.
No.
Yeah, I don't want the alpha. Hey, Yvonka, if y'all knew how crazy my ex was, and she put a whooping on me that I'm never gonna forget. Cause she, Lord, hey, I'm still watching. You seen those cameras all around my house? Don't y'all hear that noise? Beep beep. Yeah, I had to put motion sensors around my house.
Well, I guess the question would be, who are you hiding from, or who are you trying to keep away from? Or what are you looking for?
Her.
Oh.
Hey, I'm the founder of the largest gang in state history. I had to put surveillance system in my trunk and everything to prevent that girl from following me around. And man, she was tearing my life apart.
Well, I shouldn't talk, but I got surveillance too. So I mean, I know it must be a guy. It must be a guy thing.
I was peeping your cameras.
It has to be a guy thing because I have no surveillance.
It must be a guy thing.
It has to be.
Jesus is watching over me.
Okay, this is a guy thing.
I tried to call Yvonka and try to get some mental health counseling for that girl.
Oh gosh.
She needed a hug and a Hallmark card because she was on my butt.
Oh my goodness.
I think if it wasn't for the cameras, my butt would have been in the penitentiary right now. They called her butt down at the Justice Center. You heard? Of all the places. They called her butt at the Hey, Audrey, you seen that video?
Yep.
Listen, I'm telling you, I don't want none of that smoke. All I want to do is be married with somebody that's going to love me and somebody that I can bounce off and have me a good, fruitful wife like Audrey and Yvonka. And do great things.
That's something you have to pray for. So you have to trust God.
My knees is
you're
black.
perfect your perfect
You
cousin.
gotta get out more often. Then you gotta get out.
Nah,
Man, go where?
watch
Where
that.
we go, church?
But, hey,
You know you ain't gonna find the girls up in there.
I'm not gonna go down that road.
man,
Okay.
when
Yeah,
God,
Jerome, you leave
when
that one
God
alone.
sends her, he'll send her. He'll send her. It doesn't necessarily, it may not be in church. It may not be, out. It may just be going out and watering the grass. And here she
But
comes.
you gotta,
rolling
you
down the street.
have to have a certain vibe. You have to have a vibe that lets people know that you're welcoming to it. So that's the other part. But I just thought that you all should know that married men live longer.
See, I've always been told it's the opposite. So, but I don't know. I haven't gotten to that part yet. And I've been married for about what?
What are the stats on the single women, Yvonka?
Well, I just know. I know that when they started talking about married men, I'm like, well, married men live longer. And let me tell you, married men live longer because they actually have a mate that's able to help take care of them. Mm-hmm. So, one of the things that we do know, like if men have like any kind of medical issues and they're married, their spouse is able to help them to get back together, get their health back together. Okay. Where men, on the other hand, can't reverse it and do the same thing because men don't know how to do all the things that women can do to help nurture and care for you back to health.
You heard that?
So,
yeah, I'm listening. I'm like this.
Yeah, so when like they've done different studies around particularly like people who have strokes, like if like African American men have more strokes than anybody else, but African American men who have strokes that are married actually live. They actually have someone who's able to like work them through that process, help to get them back mobile again and all those other things. But for Black women, if an African American woman has a stroke, she's more likely to die than men are. And part of that is because men just can't do what we can do. So marriage is a good thing.
I'm glad to hear that.
How long you been married, Jerome? I heard you say you was married.
10. I believe it's 10 years now.
You better. Now, he better not tell her that he believes it's 10 years.
Okay. I'm about to call her up like right now.
Wow.
Don't do that. It's been 10 years. Yeah, 10 years.
Mm-hmm. How's that?
Convince us.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 11 years.
How is marriage life? I mean, because
great.
I heard that
we've been fine. I mean, we started off as friends, and I met my wife, on the internet. That's some people do, some people don't. Some people don't believe in. Some people meet their wives and girlfriends and significant others online. So that's how I met her, and we talked for a long time online, and we met and we talked and dated, and like I say, the rest is history.
Yeah, and
so
she is a good lady.
I know that you can find some nice people and some nice women or men on the internet, because that seems to be. Once again, better than going to a nightclub or hanging out in a bar or whatever the case may be. You can read. Now, not everybody's honest and faithful and truthful about what they say online. That'd be something you have to determine when you meet them. I mean, because some of these people put their photos on there. You meet them, they look like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So that's why you got to really screen the people out who you talk to online. They don't give out too much information, So keep it to a low key. Just your name and meet at a different location, and from that point on, take it as little bit of steps as you can.
So do you think
don't give out too much information?
Do you think like Yvonka and Jerome that in a relationship that you need to go through counseling? Even if you think that everything is going right, that you still need to go through counseling?
It depends what's going on in your life, I would think, what's going on in your marriage. I mean, my wife wanted to go through a counseling. There was nothing going on. I was like, there's nothing going on. We're fine. What? People
That's
see
not
that.
the reason. But I don't think the reason you go to counseling first, and initially because something's wrong.
That's what I thought.
No, you go so you can really understand one another, because sometimes a mediator can bring things out that the two of you may not, maybe be shy to, to tell one another, and then you're in a safe space and, controlled.
That's exactly what it was. You hit it right on the point there. That's exactly what it was. Yeah. But being a man that I am, I'm like, I don't need to go there. I'm fine. We're fine. I don't need somebody picking my brain to let me know. Yeah. So, but
ain't that right there the typical thing that we as men you know, when we talking about psychiatrists and everything, or going to the hospital, Yvonka, that we don't, you know, we talk just like how Jerome said. I mean, same thing what I said, you know, when it was proposed to me, I ain't crazy, you crazy. Well, we need to go for.
And a point with that, Twon, I will tell you this, and I can tell from my own personal experience, you couldn't pay me enough to go to get a colonoscopy, because I was not about to do that. No, I don't think so. I ain't going to have no doctor poke and probe me, you know. So, but because I had a wife who banged me, knocked me, and slapped me over the head for weeks and months over the head at a time, then I went to go have one checked. But you know what? When I went to get one checked, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I was in and out as quickly as you can think. But being the male that I am, I'm not doing it. It ain't going to happen. I don't care. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. You know, these things happen to other people. But I tell every black man that I meet that you need to go get a colonoscopy when you hit a certain age. You just have to go get one, whether you like it or not. Go get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, see, that's where I have a problem at right now, because it's my time.
Yeah.
And I ain't looking forward to that one.
Well, I said the same thing to you.
Well, Jerome just told you. Jerome just told you. Go.
You are my image. You are my mirror reflection of what I was saying.
Between me and Jerome got a wife.
Well, you know what? Okay, you got Yvonka and you have me. Take your butt to the doctor and get your colonoscopy.
Look, Jerome is right. So Jerome is giving you some great advice. You know, I think the thing that black men don't do is a lot of the pre-screenings, a lot of the things that are preventative screenings.
Cleveland Clinic had one for a while. I was going to them every year.
I think it's fear. I think a lot of it is fear, because they think about either if they've lost a father or uncle or something, you know, through cancer. The first thing they say is, if I got it, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
And it's no, you want to know. You want to make sure that you get, you know, checked for everything. You know, like for me, with the thyroid cancer, like I told them 15 years ago, I went to the doctor and said something was wrong, and they totally ignored me for 15 years. Like every year I asked to do a test, they would do a test. And then finally, like 2 years ago, I went in and told them what test I wanted them to do. Wow. Like, look, these are the tests that I need you to do for me. And when they did the test, when I went in for the ultrasound, the girl was like on my neck, and she kept pressing, and she kept going across and across. And I'm like, okay, so you see what I feel. And she said, I can't say anything. I said, you don't need to say anything. Mm-hmm. And then when I went in and I looked at the result, I'm like, okay. I'm like, I knew this 15 years ago. I knew it when it was I knew it when I gained the first 15 pounds that, hey, something's wrong. Right. And it was like before it got to the point of being cancerous. And then after that, it was, okay, now they're like, okay, there's nothing we can do about it. You know, it's like if we remove the cancer, you have no voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy. You know, that right there is a disparity to me.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah.
You just don't know what you have until you go get yourself checked out.
You have to be your own advocate. You have to be your own best advocates.
Yeah, you have to press. Yep. Yeah.
So thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome.
You will find your rib. Just stop looking.
Yeah.
I hope so. You know,
it get
lonely up in this house.
Find them at a barbecue. You won't find her at a barbecue, so.
You say I won't find her I won't find her at a barbecue.
Unless she's the one cooking. But yeah.
That's crazy. All right, guys, you know what? We have talked way over time. I don't know. We're going to probably have to try to figure out how I can break this up in a couple of segments. It is like 9:21. So we've been going for 2 hours.
I hope you pay your editor very good to edit this.
Yeah, right, me. I'm the editor.
Right.
Oh my God, not looking forward to editing this. Oh my gosh, but it was it's been wonderful though, and I'm glad that we could end up smiling, because we're gonna need that energy to go out and fight that good fight that we have ahead of us. So thank you, Yvonka, Twon, Jerome. Sorry for those others couldn't join us, but things have a way of working out, and this was sweet. I really appreciate it. And so I hope that all of you guys are out there watching, that you can glean from what we've been talking about and find your niche of help, and and go out there, and do that, okay? And be authentic about it. See the words behind me: authentic, understanding, dramatic, relevant, engaging. We're changing that last word to yummy, okay, instead of you. All right, you guys take care.
All right, thanks again, Audrey.
Bye.
To sponsor or appear on this or any of our web shows, contact studio at mwmg.tv. That's studio at mwmg.tv.